So hello, welcome to stage 48 where we will be assembling the pelvis. Now it does look like it's going to be a very busy issue. We actually get 13 screws, of which 7 of them are these quite heavy duty 3x8mm PM screws. Obviously they give us spare, so we'll only need 10 screws. Still got quite a lot of work to do. So let's have a look at the parts that we've got. So we have got the pelvic frame 48-1, then we have 48-2 is the pelvic shield right. So because it's got the word right in the type, there we are, that's what I'm looking for. So down there's a little R on it, so that tells us the right hand side. And piece 3 is the PM 3x8mm screws. There's 7 of these, but we'll need 6. And then we have 2 each of, well, we get 3, but we only need 2 of the PM 2x6, PM 2x4 and 3 PM 2x6mm screws. So we also need a crosshead screwdriver, tweezers optional, fine file if necessary, left pelvic assembly, which is this one. Right pelvic assembly from issue 45. So we have got, yeah, and we may also need super glue and a cocktail stick. So that's, I don't know what we're going to be gluing, but it says to get super glue ready. So stage 1 we are going to need stage 45, sorry, and that is the it just says I take the assembly from stage 45. So what we're looking for is a curve on the top with this roundy bit there at the front and then this piece at the bottom. So if we deliberately take the wrong piece, I can't, yeah, there's the roundy bit there, but this curve is going off in the wrong direction. So step 2, we need to take the assembly from stage 47, and we have some locating tabs there. We have a couple of square holes, so they are going to go into those square holes. So it's one is going underneath this bar and the other one's going above it, so it's then just going to go into there like that. And it looks like it's going to need a bit of a wiggle. There we go. Give it a bit of a wiggle, and we are going to secure that. Let me get a new cocktail stick if they ever want to come out. So we have exposed 2 screw holes, so let me just open this up a little bit. Right, so we have a hole there and a hole there and a hole there, and that's going to marry up with these 3 tabs there, if I can get it into place. Right, so this one goes above, this one goes below, and there it is. So those 2 holes line up there, those 2 holes there, and those 2 there. And just to demonstrate, see, we can get the cocktail stick through there. This looks like a very large hole, if it is indeed a screw hole. So you can get the cocktail stick all the way through there. So whatever width that cocktail stick is, that's bigger, but this one will only go so far in. So the next step then is we need to align the screw holes above where the tabs are. There's one there that we're aligning, and it's asking us about this one. Right, so I see what's happening. So we now need to take step 48-1, and we need this orientation, and the orientation mark is this hole there. So we want the hole towards the back, and we are going to place this in the top like that. So it's going to rest on top of this bar there and along there, and if you run your finger along there, it is flush, and it will be, well, it won't be flush because it's got a pattern, but it's basically going in there like that. Then we want to take our part from stage 46, and using these square holes we want to line up the 4 tabs there. So it's going above that one, below that one, and I think once we've got that lined up, there we go, it kind of all comes into place. So we now want to go to step 7. So that looks much better than the test fit that I did in the previous stage. The tight fit of the tabs creates a fairly stable assembly. Yep, it definitely does. But ensure that the parts are pushed as close together as possible. The screw holes near the corners of part 48.1 should align with the screw holes on tabs in the frame on either side, which it does seem to do. So the next step then for step 8 is we need to fix the 2 sides of the pelvis to the central part of the frame with PM 3x8mm screws, and we are using those 4 holes, and these are the holes, if you remember, I said are larger than the cocktail stick. Okay, so we're going to drive 4 screws through those bits, and I think I'm going to save myself a lot of bother by using quite a large head with the electric screwdriver. So I will just pop the first one in. Oh, that's not magnetizing very well. Right, so we'll pop that in. Lovely. And then we'll work on the opposite corner. We're only driving these in just enough to bite, and you see that struggled a little bit because it was just ever so slightly out of the line, and it was pulling it in as we screwed. This is why I like to go opposites. So this one went in a lot easier, and then the last one we can drive that all the way as far as it wants to go. And then we will work backwards, tightening these up. There we go. Right, there we go. So that is not going anywhere. So the next step then, just checking I've got this the right way round. So the next step, identify the screw hole in the tab on part 45.2, the framework on the right hand side of the pelvis. Ensure it's correctly aligned with the screw hole in part 47.2. Fix in place with a PM 2x4 screw. Repeat on the opposite side. So it's actually looking at these 2 there. So I'll use my cocktail stick, so we want one in there like so, and one in there, and this is where I'm getting confused because, right, so PM 2x4mm, which are these 2, and they'll be silver irrespective of what colour comes out. So one is going to go into this side, like so, and then the second one is going to go in the opposite side, like so. And because this is the last one, I can do that nice and tight, and I'll go back to the first one, and that's nice and tight. So this has now got a little bit more solid. So step 10, turn the assembly over to this direction and identify the next two fixing points circled, which are these 2 points here, and this is what I was looking for the 3mm screws. So we want to now put 2 more PM 3x8mm in, and one will go in there. Always remember, I'm not driving these all the way. I'm not going to use that screwdriver there. The reason being is there's not an awful lot of space. So I'm going to use what I would call a normal screwdriver. There we go. And I know these are magnetized, or they were magnetized. There you go. So yeah, don't use anything too thick here because you'll catch the sides. I don't even think my Oreo is going to do it. Yeah, it could be doing with being a bit thinner, but you'll get away with the Oreo. There we go, that's in nice and tight. And that's in nice and tight. So that is step 11 and step 12. So step 12 shows the 2 screws in place. So turn the pelvis the right way up again. This way round. And then what we want to do is, we've got 4 pegs here. We want to apply, just here. We want to apply super glue, and then we want to glue this onto here. So I will always recommend a dry fit, and that has really set that piece off. Look at the difference between that one and that one. However, that seems to be such a good fit, I can't seem to get it off again. So not a problem. So you have a choice here. You can apply super glue to the pegs, or you can apply super glue to the holes. I'm actually going to apply super glue to the pegs, and I don't think it's going to need an awful lot, but it will need quite a bit of checking. So with my dry fit, it was not impossible, but it was quite difficult to take off. We don't have an issue with overspill here, so it doesn't matter if we accidentally put too much glue on, but don't flood it in glue. You know, make sure there's enough on, but you know, obviously if it is slightly too much, it will ooze into a part that you won't see anyway. So get the 2 pegs lined up roughly into position, and work, don't rush, but work quite quick here, because the glue will start to set once it makes contact with something. And just going to push that down, count to 5, and that is a really good fit actually. That's a superb fit, but obviously once that's glued in place, that's not coming up again. So that is stage 48 done, and that's a pretty good piece coming along there, isn't it? I think you'll agree. So that is, let's say that's that complete. The 2 sides of the pelvis have been joined together, and the decorative finish has been finished on the right hand side of the pelvis. So that's it then. So I hope you will join me in next week's issue, which will be stage 49, adding details to the pelvis.